Okay, quick video. Some of you have been keeping tabs on my Facebook posts. You'll have read that I sent an amplifier back to the UK. Well, here's the deal. Once I found out the shipping was about almost $400 to ship it back, I went down that evening, or the day after, because it was a Friday and they don't ship anything out till Monday, to FedEx, mind you. And I left a note on the door. And I told them to hold the package because I refused to pay almost $400 of shipping to ship an item back that is just over $400. Plus, once it got to the UK, they have to take out import taxes, and I'd be losing around $500. And that was the phone that seems to never stop ringing. Right. So, you're probably wondering what this is. Right there. And that's my hand. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is an amplifier. It is a Cerwin Vega CV-1800 amplifier. It is 600 watts aside at 4 ohms and roughly 400 watts aside at 8 ohms. So you can see there, the camera go blur. There we go. Those lights will be blue when they light up, and protect is obviously red, and so is clip. CV-1800. Blur. Stupid camera. Right. Channel 1, Cerwin Vega. Right, some of you guys are like, oh, that looks fine and dandy, but let's take a look at the back and I'll show you why. Okay, now this is the back of the Cerwin Vega CV-1800 amplifier. And we're going to go left from right, but first we're going to concentrate on that guy right there. Do you see that right there? That is UK voltage, 240 volt at 50 hertz at 1200 watts input. Right. So basically, to make that work, I have to get a power converter of at least double that input wattage. So I would need something of about 2400 watts or greater. So I'm going to soon be ordering a 3000 watt power converter and a plug adapter. And the plug adapter is going to be for this plug. Show you. It's going to be for this guy right here. This is a United Kingdom plug. You see that, yeah? It's massive. In comparison to a regular United States plug, it's going to be a difference like this. So as you can tell, you know, whatever. You see that, yeah? Big difference. Okay, so with that being said, you got American voltage is 120 volts AC in. This is 240 at 50 hertz. The American hertz is 60, also known as cycles. So basically, until I get a power converter, I have a 50-pound piece of junk. So anyway, okay, over here. The camera. Self-explanatory, really. Link. This is a very handy feature. What is it? It is, if you're running 2 amplifiers, because you have, let's say you have 8 speakers, and you need 2 amplifiers for a couple bass cabs and mids and highs. Well, this could be for your mids and highs, this amplifier, and you could basically go out of the link on channel 1 into the input of your second amplifier on channel 1. Of course, you keep everything left and right the same, and the same as follows with channel 2, and that way the input signal from this amp gets transferred to the next one, and you just link them together, and that's how you can run like 8 to, you know, however many amplifiers you want off one input. And if you're running it mono, then of course to make it stereo, you could go in mono here, link out there into the input here, and then you'd be running 2 sides stereo, and that's what's going on. Okay, closer look at these. The high pass filter, what that does, that cuts out all your extremely low frequencies. So let's say you have I don't know, you're running a couple 10-inch speakers, and you're pushing a lot of power through them. This will the high pass filter, the HPF, that'll cut out all your extremely low frequencies, so you don't knacker your speakers. And a limiter that keeps everything at a safe level, so you don't start sending pure electricity into your speakers and blowing them up. That's why you never run anything into the red. Okay, moving down. Mode: parallel, stereo, and bridged. What does parallel mean? Parallel means you go the left side of your amplifier into input 1 and the right side of your amplifier into input 2, or vice versa, and you would have that in parallel, and that way you'd have the left coming out of the left side over here and the right side coming out over here. So basically it'd be two monos coming out as a stereo or whatever. No one ever runs their amps in parallel unless, I don't know, whatever's going on. Stereo is self-explanatory. Each side is run through stereo, channel 1, channel 2, stereo. And bridged. What is bridged? Okay, bridged is the left side of the amplifier and the right side of the amplifier put into one big power source. That way you have all 1800 watts or 1100 watts or whatever your power your amplifier is coming out of one channel. Of course, let's say you're going to run bridge mono out of channel 1, which is what most people do. You'd turn the volume all the way down on channel 2 and you would not connect anything into channel 2, just come out of channel 1. So basically that'd be good if you're running a couple bass cabs, a couple 18s, the 600 watts with 1200 peak. That'd be great for that, because this would be running 1800 watts, so you'd get just a little bit over and you wouldn't be stressing everything out. However, if you do have a cheap amp, I do not recommend you run it in bridged, because cheaper amps get very hot and they will overheat, and when you have an overheated amp, they shut themselves off, and you don't want that in the middle of the gig. Unfortunately, Cerwin Vega makes a decent amp. As you can see, you got two cooling fans, and it cools in from the front. It pulls air in from the front and out the back. Right, so let's move on. Binding post. What do they do? Well, basically this. If you have a system like mine that is 30 years old and you run the speaker wire, you can put your speaker wire into these, and I'll pause the camera and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, so what you do, if you have speaker wire, just bare wire, copper, whatever, you just unscrew these binding posts, and you see that open up right there. Well, obviously left side goes in there, left wire, black wire, whatever, and the red wire goes in there. And as you can see, this open up. See, closed, open. Stick them in there, and then screw them down tight, and that's all there is to it for that. Yeah, and as you heard me say, this amp is like, 45 pounds. It's extremely heavy. It's a lot heavier than it looks. It's not just a little black box of aluminum. Very heavy. And I get to carry around a 35-pound power converter along with it, which is just a piece of iron. So it's a lot of weight to power this guy once I get the converter. Anyway, speak on outputs, which is nice. Speak on, that's the most idiot-proof method you can use to hook up speakers. That way if some monkey comes along, they can't go and pull it out of the speaker or the back of the amplifier. We already explained that. And this has, what's good on Cerwin Vega's part, they have a built-in circuit breaker. And this is 8 amp. The American version, I believe, is a 10 amp circuit breaker, but we got stuff from the UK. So basically, you got a fuse in the power adapter, so if that were to blow, then your breaker in here would stop any possible damage from happening to the amplifier. And that's really about it. These connections over here can also use, these are actually XLR inputs, and you can also use them as jack inputs, aka 1/4 inch. So that's basically a rough overview of the Cerwin Vega CV-1800 amplifier. There is 3 amplifiers of this series: the CV-900, the CV-1800, which is this guy here, and the CV-2800. I can't remember what. I think it's the 2400. Anyway, yeah. Practice and enjoy.